And today we are having Soweto Tshepiso in the building. I think he just joined in. I don't know what's happening with the screen. Um, yeah, this is episode 19 of the Be Happy Central live show. And yeah, we have the exclusives today. My nigga just joined in. What's good, my brother? What's good, my brother?
Hey man, I'm easy does it. What's good there by your ends?
I know I'm good, man. It's so chill. It's a Saturday. I wanna acting into this
Yeah,
Sabbath. I
yeah.
believe it's a Sabbath. I believe I'm a Sabbath person. So our ideology comes with Uti on the Sabbath. Milanga abona time in this bar. Just let go. Everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the whole conception. But yeah,
yeah.
Donna. Otherwise, can you please greet the people and let us know who you are, Mpetu?
Hey, what's good? What's good, beautiful people? Firstly, shout out to Happy for having me. This is the second formal invitation. The first one was, remember that December 31st show?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
The Be
was
Happy
the
and
first
Happy.
official one where we had to get the red cups as a ticket.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was the first one. So this is the second one. So super shout out. Appreciate you, my G. And let's have a great show. Let's have a great show. What what do we
I,
do?
before we start, my bro, there's something I wanna know. I wanna know.
Yeah,
You like wearing yellow. I don't
yeah,
know what's going on with the yellow color. What I only know about the yellow color is that it's a happy color. You know,
yeah,
it brings up those happy vibrations. But
yeah.
in terms of you, what does it really mean? Like, in terms of your brand. Sorry. Ash. What does it
Alright.
really mean, my brother? In
Yeah.
terms of your
So um it's it's like an alter ego thing, right? So for people who have been like following my journey from when I officially started dropping, when I still had the crazy afro with the spikes, that
mm,
persona, the persona for that character, it was the Head King, right? And so I dropped the Head King series under the Head King, the one with the afro and stuff. And then for people who saw around the end, that's when I started cutting my hair, started playing around with the dye, and then I put on, the yellow jacket. And around that time, it was just to tease things out, because even my current profile picture that's on the socials with this cap, the yellow jacket, I was just teasing things out, and everything just locked in. When I looked at the test, I was like, oh man, this is going. And then I remember one of the people, Vego, Black Vego, he commented on like one of my YouTube comments. He was like, yo, this yellow jacket soda is cooking. I was like, all right, stop, this is dope, let's go with that. So
mm,
if then we bring in symbolism into it, we can then look at how what you said, happiness, yellow is sunshine, and it's like a new dawn, and it's like it opposes or it contrasts the Head King, because when you look at the Head King, the kind of marketing angle I was taking was similar to Adele, right? Because when you looked at Adele's covers, everything had to be black and white, it had to be sepia, it had
mm.
to be removed of color. And
Yeah.
so something similar was going on also with my Hurt King series. When you look at the initial tapes, especially, it was the only color you would see would be text and the other things in the layout. My pictures, I would be black and white to kind of symbolize that. So yellow is kind of like, a new dawn, a new life. And this is why when the first tape I dropped under this thing, it was like we waiting for lights out. I was
Mm.
kind of about to tell a story, but we still unfolding that. So yeah, that's the short of it. I know I spoke for a minute.
No. Feel free, Ntwana.
Yeah.
This is an open heart conversation.
Ah,
Conversation, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kahle when I Soweto Tshepiso, preferably, I know you sent your press kit, ne?
Yeah.
But with this one, we don't normally do that to avoid, you know, it being too structured and stuff
Yeah.
because it's
Too
just like
formal.
a rough sketch. It's unprepared, yeah, bo.
Yeah.
But anyways, Ntwana, so tell us about this red. You said the Red King. Is
Head
it Red
king.
King character? Red.
Head. Head. Like heartbreak. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Eight.
Oh shit. Talking about. Talk about red, dog. I'm just fascinated about your description, based on your logo. I know you have a clothing line. You know that whole hello, yo Soweto. Can you hear me, my bro?
Okay, I
Are
can
you
hear
back?
you. Let me just.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, we
yeah,
back.
yeah. Yeah, you froze there for a bit. I was saying, Oguti, in terms of your logo, since we on the
Hmm.
red, now we talk about the red color. It reminded
Yeah,
me of your logo. Yeah, so
yeah,
I saw this video on social media. You were describing your face being on your logo,
yeah,
and the devil. What's this as the background? Devil's face
yeah,
as a background. I don't know what to say. Is the devil's face or what? But please
yeah.
elaborate. Uti, kahle kahle, why the devil's face? What's the narrative behind your logo?
Behind the
Kahle
logo.
kahle. Yeah.
Okay. The logo is. Let
And
me
please show
just.
the people. Please show the people, my
Yeah,
brother.
yeah,
Please
yeah,
show
yeah.
the people. Sorry.
I'll do
Yeah,
that. I'll
yeah,
do that. Let me.
yeah.
I don't think I have the T-shirt near me, but I'll just light up the PC because it's the wallpaper. But yeah,
Mm,
the logo is based on the duality of man, right? So when I was doing
mm,
my Head King series, the first two tapes, let me say three. Officially, it's two, but three tapes that I
mm,
did. It was just me being a victim, right? It was me being a victim of heartbreak. It was me being a victim of scammer brurus. It was me just being like boohoo me, right? And then when I got to the Saint tape, it just became a creative thing of like when you spell out saint, it's
mm.
Saint, right?
INT. Mm,
But if you are a hip hop person, you know that the word ain't, it means I'm not,
not. Yeah.
right? So when you spell out saint but with an apostrophe in between N and
Mm.
T, it's like I'm not a saint, but it's also like saint. So
Shit.
wait, let
Okay.
me light up. Let me light up the PC. Yeah, so that's where it started, and let me show the people the logo, what it looks like. Excuse the busy background, but this is the logo he's speaking about. Happy,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So this is where the whole idea of saint comes from, right? It means that you are this person, the angel, but also
mm,
you have potential to be this. It also means like even if you are in a world full of this, you shouldn't lose this, right?
mm,
So I started looking at my relationships, at why is everything going bad, and how am I playing a part into this? Am I picking this because I like it? How am I contributing it? How am I, and so I remember because I was 10 years in a Catholic school,
mm.
and in Catholic schools there's always going to be saint this, saint that. And I spent my high school in St. Martin, and I was just fascinated
Oh.
by that. What makes a saint?
Mm,
And in the intro of the tape, it's that, like, where do we go when we die? Who do we become? And is it because of how we lived, or is it because of how we died? And like basically what makes a saint, and is it repentance? And it also goes into the J. Cole line of every saint got a past and every sinner has a future.
mm,
Yeah, so it's
mm,
all that. It's like the duality of that. And when you go deeper philosophically into it, it's like there's this psychoanalyst called Carl Jung, and he speaks about how in our psyche, you have your you have your conscious mind, everything you're aware of, and underneath, what he calls like the basement, where all the dirt is your subconscious mind. And what happens in life when we start to become problematic, or become addicts, or just snap into anger, become abusive, all those things, it's when all these things that we've hidden in our basement, they now just jump up into
getting
the conscious
exposed.
and they control us. So what happens
Mm,
is what he then suggests is that you need to accept that dark side of yourself so that it doesn't just jump up out of nowhere and control you. And so
mm,
that's also part of the drive that incorporates this whole thing. Is that you have bad traits about yourself, you have anger issues, you have aggression, you moody sometimes, you rude sometimes. And as long as you do not repress those emotions or those nasty things about yourselves that you don't like, you get to control them. And you get to they become a whole part of you instead of you just showing bits of yourself. And we can go, there's also another author, Robert Greene, who also advocates for this. And the example he likes to make is Kobe Bryant, because he says what made Kobe Bryant so focused and sharp and aggressive in his work is his dark side. And because
mm,
he didn't let his dark side just wander into other parts of his life, but he just shaped it into his career. It just turned out into just him being a beast at his work. And I looked at it like that as well, like, if I have this dark side or this dark energy in me, why don't I just put everything in the music and just, if I have an aggression or if I have an insecurity or if I have anger, why don't I just put all that in the music instead of just taking it out on people? Oh,
mm,
it's things like that. And so the religious aspect of it, outside of just me being in a Catholic school, what Carl Jung was also saying was that when Jesus was kind of in the desert, this is Carl Jung, by the way, this is not the church. So he was saying that when Jesus was in the desert and he was approached by Satan, right? Satan was like, if you have all these powers, jump off a cliff or make bread or do this. That's where we get the get thee behind me,
mm,
Satan.
mm,
And
mm,
what Carl Jung was saying was that it was not an external Satan that was tempting Christ. The temptation was coming from within. And when Christ overcame that temptation that's in your heart, then you powerful. And so the whole concept of evil saint is that. So saint is the tape, but my actual production company is Evil Saint. And when you write it, it's evil, like evolve. Like how Eminem says love is evil. Spell it backwards, I'll show you. So that's the whole
mm.
play. Yeah.
Damn, bro, that's like really. It's the first time hearing such a very vast description
Yeah.
of a simple thing as a logo, bro.
Yeah,
And more
yeah,
especially a logo that is embedded or printed on a tee or any type of fabric.
yeah.
And shout outs to you, man. I really fucks with the duality description. That use your dark side to actually take out the beast and be aggressive with your talents, your God,
Yeah.
your God given talents. And how Kobe Bryant, like you use them as reference.
Yeah.
Man, dope. So there's another thing I want us to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
So before we head on to the music,
Yeah.
because I know with music, a lot of people have known you have. I mean, sorry, you have explained a lot about the music in terms of your short preview videos that you post on social media.
Yeah.
With this one, I really don't want to touch too much on the music, but I want to touch on
Mm-hmm.
the music at the same time.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to see how you think. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a smart person. I can tell, bro.
Yeah.
So
Shout out.
tell us about your living in Soweto. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Soweto Tshepiso, I believe that's my notion. I believe
Yeah.
that the name Soweto Tshepiso was inspired because you're from here, man.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. So you want to know about the name?
Yeah. Just your journey. Now we're going
Yeah.
deeper. I want to know who Tepiso is.
Yeah. Nah, no
Yeah.
problem. So
All right.
I think part of, let me just start with how I navigated my way towards this name, right? So the earliest memory of me being in Middlelands Zone 7 as a kid, my first time I was aware of music, I was listening to the Supremes You Can't Hurry Love. I'm not sure if you're still there, Maji. Are you still there, Maji? Oh no. Yo, Heavy, are you still with me, dog? This is not good. Yo, if you can hear me, please leave a chat, leave a comment. I want to make sure if it's my network, that's all.
Yo, I think we need to restart here because when you preview, lah, yeah, I think we need to restart. But I think it's a poster like this one because it's the same problems I had the first time. But yeah, dog. Let me just restart the whole for the dog. So cool. Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? I don't know what happened, yo. My phone decided to shut down. I don't know what really happened there. But yeah, I think we're back. I think we're back. I think we're back. Let me holla at Soweto Tshepiso. I think we're back. Yeah, so what happened was we had a live, we on a live notification, so and suddenly my phone, switched itself off. So I just hope that this is a continuous. It's not we're not starting all over. You see. So let me just invite Soweto a bit. I'm trying to re-invite Tepiso to the live, so please be patient. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Subscribe, like this video, and comment. Please do, please do. And thank you so much for everyone who has been supporting the movement so far. Really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. Just call in Soweto Tshepiso to come in. I think this is one of those exclusive interviews, very interesting interview, and just hope that y'all I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nigga.
We,
Yeah, nigga.
we
Yeah, nigga.
back.
Yeah, we're back. We're back, man. Sorry for that, y'all. Sorry for that.
Nah, no.
Yeah. Um,
Bruh.
for just in case you just tune in, this is the PMP Central live show, episode 19. It's Petu Soto Tshepiso. This is just the game today.
Yes.
And yeah, man, just a great conversation. And if you have any comment, if you want to ask anything to Tepiso, feel free
Yes.
and engage with us. We will definitely look into your comments almost before we are done with the live. So, Tepiso,
Yeah.
yeah, man, we were on about your name, Mosotho
Yeah.
Tshepiso. You know,
Yeah.
like
This guy.
when did this whole journey started? Yeah, yeah. When
Yeah.
did this whole journey
Yeah.
started?
So yeah. So for me, you know, what what kind of happened, I was just following my intuition. Initially, it was just me being inquisitive. I remember the first time Google the Supremes "You Can't Hurry Love." There was something in me that was like, I need to ask, what is this song? Like, who made this song? Because something in me, it made me just go from being a passive listener to actually being interested in music. And I was young. I think maybe I was like in crèche. I wasn't sure I'm gonna make music. I just remember it vividly because it was one of the first few moments where I was like, "What's this and who made this?" Yabo? And I remember from there on, one of the other pivotal moments was when Malaika dropped their first album. I think it was in like 2003. That 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 Destiny album.
Mm,
Yeah, it
mm,
changed everything because that's the album that made me realize I can sing. And to me, it was easy because I was like, oh, I'm just mimicking what these people are doing. But my surroundings, everyone was like, do that again, do that again. I was like, certainly, right? So throughout my whole primary, it was just me now reinforcing that, like, oh, people say I can do this. Let me just do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And then the turning point of now me becoming a rapper was when Lil Wayne came out. I think it was like 2007
mm,
to 2008, cut it three, that whole thing. I was like,
yeah.
yo, we about to do this, right? And I think also because I, even though I was singing, it was me singing other people's songs, right? So before Lil Wayne came out, I was already now on some, but how do I write mine? Right? So when Lil Wayne came out, I was like, this is it. If I can learn this, I can learn how to write. Right. So by the time I start high school, now I have another dilemma. My other dilemma is, am I gonna be a rapper or a singer? Right? It looks like in this life you have to choose. Or as history had put it, you had to choose one thing.
Mm,
And this is when, Drake blew up, and I was like, perfect. This is the blueprint, right? So everything was falling into place, and then Eminem also came out with Recovery 2010,
mm,
and in terms of the technicality of rap, I was now just doubling down on Eminem. I was starting to, build myself. And this is when I became a King Tut. Because as you can see, I just like, documentaries and history and stuff. And I remember seeing this documentary at King Tut, and they were like, he was a king at the age of 9. He was like the youngest king of Egypt
mm,
at the time. And I was like, yeah, that's me. I'm about to be the youngest to, do it at this level that I'm doing it. I'm about to be the youngest to blow up, whoop de whoop. And I became King Todd, and I started searching the name on social media, and it was a lot of pages to King Todd. A lot of them were like me, a rapper. Others, it was like just people documenting the Egyptian king, the actual Egyptian king. And I was like, this is not so unique anymore. And I started changing it around. It became Tut. It became Tut Cars. It became King Tut Cars. Until it got to a point where it's like, yeah, I cannot run out of the genericness of this name. And I remember even one of my dudes was like, if someone searches a King Tut and they see where you're from, it's not gonna match. And I remember at that time also TDE was blowing up. And
mm,
when you look at where they were And I remember video ya episode, yeah, turn me up some. And bakukasi nje, it's just graffiti walls. Bakukasi, they have nothing. And it's like what they rap about, what they call themselves, and where they were back when they were coming up, everything makes sense, right? And I started thinking to myself, if I were to go on Sway and someone was to be like, oh, let me just hop on this dude's catalog and just see where they from, King Tut and the Soweto aesthetic is not gonna match, right? And then I
Definitely.
remember in 2014, I just dropped the name entirely. 2014, I was just happy, so I didn't have an alter ego, and that's when I remember later that year J Cole dropped 2014 Forest Hills Drive, right? And I remember hearing Hollywood Code. When so I was like, yo,
Mm,
this is it. So where does
mm,
it be? So it was that.
mm,
It was that. I was
mm,
like, yo, if there's Hollywood Code, then I'm Soweto Tshepiso. Let's go.
mm.
Yeah.
So now you found your originality in terms of signature name, uyangibamba?
Yeah.
Something that you own, something that is yours.
Yeah.
So now, since you found that, I'm also thinking that you found your style as well in terms of rapping and
Yeah.
singing. Now you know how to navigate and actually produce, direct your music and stuff.
Yep.
So going forward now, since it's Bizarre Soweto Tshepiso, what is happening in your music career going forward?
Okay. So what I am interested in right now, because I'm also a multimedia designer, right? So I'm more or less interested in just giving people the music, but I'm into, like, building narratives, building worlds. And this is why when you ask me, "Jorge, why are you always in this yellow thing?" It's like, you see, when you're watching Dexter's Lab, he's always in that white lab coat, you know.
Mm,
And it's
mm,
like I'm building this world. And this is why when I did the Head King series, it's like I knew that it's gonna sound like one long song, but I wanted it to be like, when you discover Game of Thrones, you're gonna discover 8 seasons of this thing, and it's just one long story that goes on and on and on and on. And so that's the same for me. I don't want people, when they discover my music, to just be overwhelmed. I mean, I understand. How feel like Spotify saka. Things are gonna
yeah.
be overwhelming because there's just a lot of music on there. But once I break it down to you into these segments, that no, Herd King, it starts when we introduce this Herd King who has this afro, always in the moody, somber attitude. And then on the first tape, he's in this, on and off relationship that's toxic. And then on the second tape, he's starting to become braggadocious. He's starting to get this attitude, starting to mess around with the whole, "Kalahla reo namela." And then when we get
Mm,
to you know, the third tape, it's like all this thing has exhausted him. It's like, you know what, we're not here. Just leave a message. We'll get to you when we get to you. And then when we get to Saint, it's like he's trying to come back, but now with a new perspective of, mm, am I a saint in this situation? How did I contribute in this situation? And then when we get to like your blues deluxe, it's like, now you're starting to see the whole heartbreak thing from a holistic perspective. And still it's like, yeah, it's still you. And by the time we get to LTD, the end of that tape, it's like, now I'm starting to give you, and I think LTD, it's my most, I don't like it because I don't feel like it's concise. A lot of people like it. They like it's my best tape because I was telling so many perspectives that I feel like I may have lost the listener in the theory, but luckily people will say that the music was doing the talking. And so when I am making this music, I don't want the MP3 to just do the talking, right? This is why I'm doing the most to make sure that, even though the imaging is not crazy, I'm not investing too much into music videos, but I want to make sure that I meet the listener along the way. So I remember watching this Eminem clip where he was like, he used to think it's all about get in the studio, make the slapper, and then it's a holiday, right? But it's like they had to wake up a couple 5 a.m. radio, following morning 5 a.m. radio, following morning. So I was like, to me, how can I then do that for the listener instead of being entitled and say, I'm nice. All of you guys should flog, come to me because I'm nice. I should be able to say, all right, let me then, make sure that I tell this story in the nicest way, most patient way possible. And then I reach out the viewer. It's, as rappers, we actually underestimate how much our writing is here and people's digestibility is here. So we also kind of have to come here and explain these bars, explain what it means to say, I thought that I'm a great. They would watch me blow out of space. All they did was watch me fall out of grace. Like the double meaning in those things. Because sometimes to people, it's like, oh, it was that. How was I supposed to get that? So I'm doing that. I'm working on a tape right now that I'm rolling out single by single. We started with a freestyle, good grief freestyle, and it was inspired by the loss of my laptop. Um, yeah, because my laptop just died. It just died out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And with the laptop dying, now I had time on my hands to just chill and not work, and it exposed a lot of insecurities about me. You remember the dark side we were talking about, that I'm aggressive with the work, because I have to put all the dark energy in there. Now without the laptop, there was nowhere to take this dark energy, and I had to like sit and introspect and now be like, because at first I had to question myself, like, wait, can we mourn devices? Like, can we mourn technological devices? Right?
Yeah.
Like, is are we in that era? Are we becoming androids to the point whereby we no longer mourning people or animals? Now it's like when a laptop is gone, I can be sad and grieve. So I was now starting to ideate that thing. And I remember when I started the rollout, people were like, this is weird. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just like you after losing the laptop. I was like, this is weird. Right.
Yeah.
But initially it drew me into one thing. And this is going to be the first platform where I announce it. But it led me into the point where I was like, hmm, I think a lot of our problems is that people miss people. And to
Mm.
many, it's that people miss their parents. To many, it's people miss their grandparents. Others miss their partners. Others, that whole thing that makes us people, it also bled into also how I was treating my device. It's not just because my device was making me work, but it's because my device was helping me connect with people. And that's where I'm at right now. If I were to put a chapter into my life right now after the Hurt King series, after waiting for lights out, is that people miss people.
So another thing, dog. I know. When I started knowing you,
Yeah,
you had a catalog when you were
yeah,
like in terms of. I think it was part of your mandate in terms of
mm-hmm,
releasing.
yeah,
Whenever you release, you show us the behind the scenes. Like a whole series, a whole documentary series of
yeah,
the behind the scenes, the everyday things that Tepiso do that are
yeah,
inspired by music type of vibe.
yeah,
First few times I've known you, when was it, 2022, something like that, at Baker's sessions after that
yeah.
whole Machine event.
Shout out
But
machine.
now you're no longer doing it anymore, bro. Like, come on. The only thing that you give us is like previews to your music, explaining the lyricism. But what
And then I'm
about,
out. What
what
about the
about?
tape?
Because really, to be honest, for me, as one of the people who are watching this stuff,
Yeah,
it's really inspirational. Getting to see what you are doing,
yeah,
behind the scenes, before
yeah,
actually hearing the music, which was really dope.
yeah,
A lot of artists, I don't know what's wrong with artists. As you start on the foundation, you do all these documentaries. As soon as you there, like you're ninja for what?
yeah.
Mm,
So with that, ne, it became tricky because sometimes I, well, not sometimes, most times I'm alone. Most times when I make music, I'm alone. And those documentaries, they would come because I was with people, there was a lot of people
Oh.
in the stew, and that's how we would capture these moments. But this is where now I started realizing, oh, if you can get a tripod, and then maybe you can set something up like this, and maybe you can do something up like that. But another thing is also, especially because I remember people also after LTD, they were like, you fell off, you're no longer dropping tapes, what's going on? And my issue with that was that I didn't want to go back to the road I knew. You know how in the Matrix, when Bablela Neo, yo, we gotta take you to our posy. There's a bug in your stomach, remove that bug, and he almost gets off a car. And they're like, but remember, before you go back there, you already know what's waiting for you there. You can just take this new path with us. So I always did that. I always worked on, I still have tapes, I still have all these behind the scenes footage, but to me it was always, what can I do that's new, what can I do that's going to be exciting to the listener? And I remember the initial first test, it was that whole waiting for lights out, where I was just seeing, oh, let me just drop this tape as singles and then see what's going to be the reception. When that didn't work, I was like, oh, let's try something else. And then so for me, it's like before we actually going back into consolidating everything, let's actually test and see what works. And then when we actually find something, then we're going to be able to, okay, be like, oh, the doki worked from here, oh, the 6-track tape worked from here, oh, the social media aspect of this worked from here. And then we can be able, because even when people were saying I was popping, there were elements that were missing. So for example, when I was doing the Head King series, I was not that active on Insta, I was not that active on TikTok. So that was the downside of that era. Now I'm active, but there's also a downside of this era.
Hey, bro.
So it's like, yeah, so it's like once since we consolidate everything, then I'll be able to say, all right, we saw what works, we saw what's not working. Now we're taking everything that works, we're gonna compress it, and then
And again, bro, like I feel like your music also needs a music video. Why aren't you putting in that investment, my bro? Like, come on, Tepiso. Ah, Mafito.
I
Sorry, my nigga. You know
yeah,
one thing about hip hop, pop music,
yeah,
something that is not amapiano
yeah,
or a South African relatable genre. You know, but in terms of originality, authenticity, it being originally here, we
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
It becomes, so confusing for a lot of listeners.
yeah,
Okay, I'm listening to your freestyle right now. Let's say it's on audio format. I'm listening to your
yeah,
freestyle right now, and I don't know because remember, I don't know you like that.
yeah,
But you know what a multimedia does? A multimedia now gives us a broader perspective of the song in terms of visually what
mm-hmm,
was, in your mind at that point, and actually taking imagination into a visual form, which for me, it's like, really important to have a multimedia as an artist,
yeah,
as just building your resume, just for people to understand, your music better and all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
So the thing about music videos is, and I know this has been the fight since the Head King series.
Namiano.
Um, I I I remember reading this was like a lot of people just come to him and they're like, yo, I got this 10K, let's do a video. And he was like, nah, I actually don't want your 10K. Take your 10K and put it into Facebook ads. Facebook ads in this day and age is going to do more to promote you than a music video will. And the more I looked into that, I started to look at the functions of a music video. And
Mm,
although you
mm,
now, when I looked at why music videos were a thing because of MTV, right? And even around that time, when I was now starting to ideate around the music video, it was like, okay, now we're gonna shoot this video, and then we're gonna pay this compiler, and then they're gonna play it, go MTV and China Low. And then I looked at it and I was like, yeah, but if I pay that 10K into,
mm,
Meta ads, how many conversions am I gonna have go Spotify? Or how many conversions am I gonna have go Apple Music? And I was like, I think let me just shift myself. I do understand what music videos does. It's just that right now, because of a limited amount of resources, I think for me, Meta ads or TikTok ads, they are here when it comes to reaching people, when it
mm,
comes to music videos. So that's where I'm at.
mm. So, hey, Mfana, to be honest, man, I hear your point, but damn,
Yeah.
dog, you need to do a music video, bro. Come on. Nah,
Yeah.
nah, I hear your point, my
Yeah,
bro.
I
We
know.
really need that music video, Donna.
Yeah.
Um,
Now everything is
so,
gonna fall in
oh yeah,
place.
yeah.
Now everything is gonna fall in place.
Please, Mfana, please,
Yeah.
Mfana. Another thing when that's a piece of man. I remember you were posting the results of your streams and every
Mm-hmm.
like DSPs. I
Mm-hmm.
think you were getting like 100K on Audio Mac, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Listeners monthly or
yeah,
yearly.
yeah,
Spotify. I mean, for someone who's like really upcoming, not yet like fully inside the industry as prominently so. Like, how do you do it, bro? Like, I personally don't be struggling with that stuff, bro. Like,
yeah,
no lies. I know how to release and the whole process of releasing, but getting the numbers right, bro. Like having 100K monthly listeners, and all that kind of stuff without
yeah,
you having like a million followers, for example, but already having
yeah,
100K
yeah.
listeners. How is that possible? It's crazy.
I think, yeah, it feels weird I'm posing this question because I'm always watching other YouTubers. Baba would say these questions and I'm there with a notepad, like, oh, let me take notes. It feels weird when it's
Yeah.
me answering. But I think what helped me initially was uh discovering Ras, and Ras was like how he blew up was just dropping consistently.
Whoa, hold on, hold on. Who the fuck is Ross? Is it an app? Is it a person?
It's a rapper.
Oh,
So
from
I remember,
America,
yeah, yeah,
South
he's
Africa.
he's yeah, he's an American rapper, Ras,
Oh,
RUSS. So by the time I discovered him, he had dropped his debut album, and I think it went gold in like the first 6 months. And I was now going through the interviews, like, how did we get here? And he was just dropping music effortlessly, consistently. And this is how he discovered his this other artist called La Russell. I think he signed him for a one album deal. But when I looked also into La Russell, he was doing the same thing. He was just like dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping a single here, a tape there. And people kept on telling these people, slow down, why don't we just push this one single? And he's like, no, no, no. We can push that single, but it doesn't mean I have to now stop dropping music because I enjoy dropping music. And as I was trying to emulate what these guys were doing, I then started to realize that these music platforms are being ran like social media. So they reward
mm,
consistency. So it's more like how this is how I ended up just giving up on Facebook because I would not post, and then when I post, it would average like one like per post, and then I would be consistent, and get to 10 posts, 30 posts, and then I'd vanish for a month and come back, and it's 2 posts again. So that's also how these DSPs work, right? It's like in order for because they use AI, a lot of these
mm,
platforms. They use
mm,
AI in order to understand what kind of listeners gravitate towards you. So it becomes hard for that AI to understand who to send you to when you are not consistent, right?
mm,
Because I think Spotify, the minimum, like the bare minimum, if really you're keeping Spotify happy with a bare minimum, at least one song per month,
mm.
if
Okay.
really you keeping Spotify happy. Because what these people then usually do is then they start to find data. Oh, when you drop these kind of people, it ends up on their radio. Oh, when you drop these kinds of people, it falls into the algorithm. What they then do to reward you is that, hi, we now understand the type of listeners that like you. We'd like to push you into this playlist, or we'd like to push you into that playlist. And it's like the more you do it, also, I mean, it's obviously not just left to Spotify. Even if you run your ads, like I've been, testing out ads and what's working, what's not, you start to see now, oh, there's, these 70 people from UK listening to this song. Oh, there's this 60 people from US listening to this song. Oh, Brazil is in the cut.
Mm,
Oh, you start to understand all these things and all that data. Spotify also, they are also using that data to be able to understand who do we push
mm,
you to. Because I remember the song Mine, I put it out and the budget was not much. I think I had 1K for ads, and we just put the song out for ads, and we were like, let's just see where it's gonna land us. Let's see which countries are gonna bite. Let's see what's gonna. And I think we stopped the ads after 30 days, but because we had fed the algorithm enough data, the song was just my most popular song for months, even when I was not dropping. I think even now, I, oh, it's on
mm,
this phone. I think even now, the song "Mine" is still my most popular song because of how I fed the algorithm, and so we are still trying to, you know, understand what we did right there, understand what we could be doing wrong with the newer releases, and yeah, and you just get to, also if you're an artist,
mm,
download your for artist apps. Spotify has a for artist app. Apple Music has a for artist app. Audio Mac has a creators app. YouTube has a studio app. Amazon, all these platforms. Just look if there's a platform, just search for your Play Store. If you're using an Android, you're not gonna find an Apple Music for artists, but you can log in via web. So what these things do is that you get to find all your data in there, who's streaming you from where. If you're running ads, where should you be pushing? Because with me, Go Audio Mac, I'm not even big in South Africa. Go Audio Mac, I'm big in Nigeria. Those
damn,
100K streams, it was in Nigeria. It was not here.
damn.
So you now get to see, oh, if it's in Nigeria, then should I maybe also add a bit of Afrobeat into my catalog?
Mm,
How will that react? How will that now you
mm,
start to see what's your audience and what's going on? And
mm,
another thing that I love also about Apple Music is that when I dropped the song How Should I Know, these are things tse leng gore, especially because I didn't even send that song to radio, but there's this thing called, I think, radio spins. It acts like a Shazam. It acts like a Shazam, but for radios. And
mm,
I was like, oh snap, who's playing my song? And then I clicked, it shows you, South Africa, Johannesburg, Vow FM played this song how many times? I was like, oh, look at that. I would have never found. So, those apps, they also help you with tracking. And then, yeah, I think after that, you just need to make sure then you are registered at all these places because especially for I mean Sambro, I know they work a lot with radio, and as a come up, you're not that fortunate with radio, but Capasso is important because what Capasso is going to do is that they are going to collect your streaming check and they are going to collect your writing check, whether it's that Genius app when people are viewing your lyrics, whether it's Spotify when people are viewing your lyrics, whether it's Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I was saying, like places like your Capasso, what they're going to do is, they don't only just, collect your streaming check, but they also are heavy into this publishing thing. So it's like if your lyrics are on Genius, or if your lyrics are on Music's Match, anything where there's your lyrics and they are in writing, best believe Capasso got you covered. Did I lose you again? Ah, I keep losing my dude. Ah, snap.
Yo, and hey, we having problems in this live situation, here on YouTube. But let me just invite also to Tipiso back to the live and see what's going on. So I'm calling out so to Tipiso to join us again. Yeah, hopefully this time we won't be having unnecessary problems like we've been having. Yeah, let me just, yeah, there we go. This is episode 19 of the Be Happy Live show. If you just tuned in, yeah, it's episode dog. Yeah, we back, man. We back, man. I don't know if you can hear me.
No, I just wanted to send a quick WhatsApp. We back because someone was tuned in. Yeah,
Yeah, Tepiso, you were talking about Ikapaso.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So what usually happens with artists, especially with artists by Eleng Gore Baba, like yo, we don't know where to start. I think that's the best place to start. And I think I remember around that time, my luck was that I had a mentor because I was at UJ and I was like, oh, this UJFM. Okay, what's the first step? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember going to this guy, shout out Kavish. He at that time he was the station manager at UJFM. I played him my song. I was like, here's my song, you know, play this slapper. And he was like, are you really serious with this music thing? I was like, yeah. I was just sharing the link to this. So he was like, are you serious about this? I was like, yeah, I
Mm.
am. Gave me a phone number. He was like, this is Neil Thurston. Call him, tell him Kavish sent you. If you're serious about this, If you're serious about this, you're gonna go there. I went there.
Mm,
Um, I called Neil. I'm like, yo, Neil, this is me. Kavish sent me, and it was like 1.5 for mixing and mastering. At the time, it was 2015. I was like, let's go. Where are you? He's like, I'm at Randburg, but you don't have to come. You can send the music. I'm like, no, no, no. I want to be there. I go there. Come to find out, this is the same Neil who mixes and master for KO. This is the
damn.
same
Oh,
Neil
oh,
who
oh,
mixed.
oh, oh, I think I know the dude because I'm a KO fan. Sorry to cut you. He's like
Yeah,
Indian looking, colored looking, né?
yeah.
Like
That's the same
a
Neil.
bit overweight. Nyana.
Yeah, that's the same Neil. Super genius. I get there, I'm in the studio. I can't believe it. I leave the song with him. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna collect it. Fine, I'm gone. The money is paid. And I remember going back and he was like, man, who recorded you? I'm like, nah, we did the recording. We were at SABC. He was like, this is trash. You are off key. All these sounds are tight. Putting in auto tune, it's bad. I'm like, oh
Damn.
snap. But he's like,
Damn.
but you know who saved this song? I'm like, I don't know who. He's like, whoever wrote you this song. I'm like, no, it's me. He's like, so you wrote this song? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Who wrote the rap verse? I'm like, me. Who wrote the singing verse? I'm like, me. He's like, oh, yeah, so you a Drake type of dude. I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, you know what? There's potential here. I can give you this song, but come back, we'll work on more. Now I have the
Mm,
master copy on me. What's the next step? Luckily, because I was at Bunting Road, UJ, you know,
mm,
Samro is
mm,
down the road, and luckily Capasso
mm.
is upstairs. So at that
Upstairs.
time, it was when Samro was still fee. Now they have a one-time payment fee. When they got ID, we registered things, we registered the song. Now I have that. Now I have to go to Risa. Risa at the time. Guys, you need to understand they didn't have these online portals at the time. You had to
Hey.
give Ella a
Yeah.
taxi, go to Josie, get to Josie, go to Randburg, bow for the direction. Oh, it's
Ah.
closer to multi-choice. When you get to multi-choice, ask about Risa. You go to Risa.
Mm,
At the time, it was still free, Leona, but now there's also a one-time payment. So what Risa does
mm,
is they give you a number that you constantly gonna have to change with the each release. So it's gonna be like a number like ZA, for example, it's gonna be like ZA123. And then at the end, they're just gonna give you 000. You as you release, you're just gonna keep changing
mm,
0001, 0002,
mm,
0003.
mhm,
And then when the year changes, you change the year and then you start again, 0001. And what that number does, the RISA number, is that it tracks your music. It helps Risa track your music wherever you go in the world. So if you're gonna use a tune call or a CD baby, that Risa number, it tracks your streams. It
mm.
tracks, oh, you are gold go India, or you are gold mo South Africa, or you are, that's that Risa number.
Ah.
Because I suspect if you're gonna use the number table CD baby, the ones they give you, I think it's okay, but I think you're gonna have to use their criteria of certification. And what it
Mm,
also helps with that RISA number is that if you wanna also change DSPs, or be like, I don't want to use this one, I want to use this one. Once you use that same number, your streams are gonna come back. So let's say you had 10,000 streams before you took your song down. When you re-upload it, if you use the same RISA number, it's gonna continue
mm.
from 10,000. And what I think
Oh,
it's for.
hold on. Tshepiso, sorry,
Okay.
dog. Make us understand. Is it the SRC code that you use or
Yes,
the
ISRC
CD
code.
code that maybe let's say you release that shit on Spotify because
Yeah,
I know Spotify is their own reference code for the song.
yeah.
Do you still use that reference code to regain those number of streams or just the SRC code? SRC code, sorry.
So so usually what they usually do also, Lebona, they also have an international standard code, what that they call it a UPC code that they
Okay.
give you.
IPI number,
That
yeah,
one,
yeah.
That one I'm not strict with. The ISRC number, that's the RISA number. So the reason why I'm advocating for South African rappers to use that RISA number is because when it's now time for you to get your gold or your
Platinum.
your platinums or your certifications,
Platinum. Yeah.
you're gonna go to RISA and be like, "Where's my gold?" And then RISA's gonna be like, "But you're not a member. You're not using our RISA numbers to track your things, but you want us to certify you." You see, so that's also kind of where I'm at. But also if you released your stuff on DSPs, it's never too late. It's never too late to register, because I remember one of my dude who did music, Storm D, Parker, and Tunes. They did music at SABC. They were like one of their uh, lawyer, the guy who was teaching them law. I think it's Nick. He was like, "There's money in music. You just need to know where." And this is a good start. This is a good start.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Because a lot of people are leaving money. I remember this other time I was just randomly checking my Samro, and boom, there was like a 400 just in there waiting for me. I didn't know. I
yeah.
didn't know, but there was a 400 just in there waiting for me. And it was like, and also another thing, especially because you do shows as well. If a show is hosted in a place where people are paying to use other people's music, like for example, a club or a pub
Mm,
is also working with Samro and things like that. A
facts.
performer, if a performer is performing
Facts.
for free, if a
Mm,
performer is performing for free, it's not entirely free. Because what Samro does is you can upload your set list. You can tell Samro that I performed these 10 songs, and the event manager signed it that yes, he performed at my establishment for 10 songs, and Samro will pay you for that performance. So it's not entirely free. But you have to be a member. So register.
bro, like Tshepiso, you're the first
Yeah,
guy to know this information, bro. Let me highlight you. Let me highlight you. I've done this music thing for so many years, bro, and I'm a publisher, right? Such
yeah,
information I'm aware of. Yeah, bro.
yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed about a lot of upcoming artists, the young ones whatsoever, even the people at my
Even
who are my
us.
generation,
Yeah.
yes, they clueless, bro. They super clueless. They super clueless.
I
So
think
what?
there's a reason.
Okay.
I think as artists we have different strengths, yabo. So
Mm,
I'll make this simple example. So back in the
mm,
days, there used to be artists who just like being go studio just to make music. They just like that more than anything. When you took them now and you were like, "Let's go perform, let's go do these morning interviews," it was like,
mm,
"Yo, boys, you are depressing me. I don't want this lifestyle. I just want to be in the studio and create." And they were artists who, like a Rihanna, they enjoy performing, being on stage, just being fierce and just living that life. That's their niche. And this is where these two worlds would combine. They'd be like, "Okay, you, as this great artist, a Michael Jackson, we're going to link you up with these people who are going to songwrite for Thriller. You'll make magic together." And I feel like
mm,
we are still in that
mm,
age whereby
mm,
even with me, I may be, well informed. I may be super down in the studio. Some people may be like, "Oh, you such a dope performer," but maybe I'm gonna lack this element where it's like, "But here you need a manager because you're lacking when it comes to going outside and developing information and network and things like that." And I think this is where, shout out to Silas Beats. He was saying that one aspect that rap that made rap unable to compete with piano or piano, yeah, I guess
mm.
snob piano, is that we're
Yeah.
no longer collaborating, right? So what you are saying right now is that it's easy for us to blend our strengths because we are always together, right? So for example, my homie, Luigi anywhere. He was like, yo, you seem like you nice with this music admin thing. Hit me up and then help me out, right? But with him, I was like, yo, I've been trying to get, the reverb right on my vocal. What are you using on your vocal? Hit me up, plug me on. So I think these things also they balance like that. It's not like one person is taking music more serious than the other. It's that we usually just double down on our strengths. And then when we link up, it's like, oh, actually, I mean, look at me right now. I may be well informed, but I haven't done a show in my life. You have. So you know more about shows than I do. And if I wanted to do a show, you'd be the person I'd be talking to. Yo, my man, I want to do a show. How did you promote? How did you link up artists? How did you make sure that, because hey, people will leave you last minute. How do you make sure people don't leave you last minute? How do you make sure the DJ is there? You know all that. I don't. I may know a lot about, music admin that you think you may not, but this is where collaboration becomes key.
I love the topic of copywriting you touched on.
Yeah.
There's an information I just recently got when I said this. I
Hmm.
don't know if you know about copywriting.
Yeah.
There's a there's this formality that we missed as independent artists who have
Yeah.
their own record labels, publishing companies that are registered with CIPC.
Yeah.
In terms of intellectual property, right?
That
So
outrageous that.
I've discovered. I don't know who I was discuss. Oh, I was discussing this with my peer actually.
Yeah.
Someone who's also and he's an all rounder when it comes to music business. He
Yeah.
understands music business. He was once a publisher, long a publisher. He's into
Hmm.
media, web development and all that kind of stuff. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's not the point. My point is that we spoke about copywriting in terms of that with CIPC, you can actually copyright music with CIPC, and
Hmm.
they give you a certificate. Maybe you have like a single, like right now that the touch. What's the name of the freestyle? Touch
Out of
something.
touch.
Out
Feeling
of
out of
touch.
touch. Let me catch
Yeah,
my fist. Yeah.
exactly my point. You got that out of touch vibe. You register with Risa. You do all the formulary, the form.
Formalities.
Yes, formula.
Formalities. Yeah.
Ah! Yeah, with the with the CMOs, right? But
Yeah.
now CIPC is also involved because guess what? When the CMOs, which is the collection management organizations, when they
Hmm.
decide, which okay, we want CIPC to become a member, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been proactive, it's been registering with our songs, live performances. It's been consistent. Every year we get a catalog, we get information from this guy.
Yeah.
So we'd like to make him as a beneficiary member. He needs to benefit things that come from us, as much
Yeah.
as we getting paid because he's doing the work. He's making us
Yeah.
work. Yeah. But
Yeah.
so I think and to think about copyright, bruh, when it comes to publishing, when you do that, because you must remember something, when you involve CMOs in terms of copyright, that's like blanket copyright, right?
Hmm.
You can disagree. It's blanket
No.
copyright. But
Yeah.
when you add CIPC, now it's different. It's like you have actually licensed your music.
Yeah.
You can take that shit to maybe to an advertising agency, maybe
Yeah.
let's say Clover.
Hmm.
You say, okay, this is what I want to do. As video, here's my license. So
Yeah.
meaning that now you're able to share licensing fees with eClover whenever they advertise, they put your music in the advertisements whenever there's new lines or products.
Yeah.
So I don't know if to you does it make sense in terms of the process
You.
that you already know? Do you think it's
Yeah.
legitimate enough what I'm saying, or it's
Yeah.
like bullshit, bro?
I hear what you're saying. So what I'm going to
Yeah.
do now is to try connect everything. So
Mm,
with CIPC, we are now looking at your okay. Let's just look at music. Music, whether it's broken into two things, right? So back in the old days, before there was microphones and recorders, music was written down in paper. And
mm,
when that paper was printed and it was spread around, so but Beethoven, so that you can be able to play the piano like he did, he would have to write it down for you. this is the note you play, this is the note you play. That's how publishing began. This is why even now, when people are selling books, they need publishers, because that's how
mm,
publishing began. They would have to publish things and then send it out. That's the first part of music, composition and being an author. They all they combine composition and authorship into songwriting. The other part of music came when people now started recording music. Because what you would have after you record music is you would have one copy that you would take and then make a duplicate of copies, right? They would call that one copy a master copy, and they would call the duplicates the slaves, right? So all of that, it's intellectual property. It belongs to someone, right? So once you have intellectual property, in order for you to manage all those things, who gets what cut, who gets this, who gets that, who owns the masters, this is where your CIPC comes in. Because what CIPC then does is they help you trademark things. They help you, secure the name of your entity that you're going to be operating under. So let's say, for example, Evil Saint, it is a registered company, go CIPC, but under Evil Saint, I'm going to be the one who decides what type of intellectual property are we putting out, what type of intellectual property are we trademarking, and in the music space. Now this is where there's music organizations that collect your royalties come in, right? So now, publishing we spoke about. Your Capasso, your Sambro is going to handle that. Now, this is where Sampra comes in. Sampra, they help you with, let me not badmouth them, but they help you with collecting on the master end of things. So this is where now, if you get that advertisement or that placement, and then it's going to play on TV, or it's going to be a scheme sum, it's going to be on rotation every day, SABC or whoever is going to pay Samro for publishing. They're going to pay Sampra for the masters. You know why they do this? Because sometimes you, as happy, you may now have a song where there's some people who didn't write, or there are some people who wrote, but you paid for the studio session, you paid for the mixing, you paid for making this whole product exist. So what then they do is go Capasso, they're gonna pay whoever wrote. Maybe we wrote it really too. Go Samro, they're gonna pay whoever wrote. Maybe re too. But go Sampra, they're gonna pay whoever owns the master. Maybe it's just you, 100%. You paid for the ads, you paid for the mixing, you paid for the
mm,
studio session. Now they are trying to make sure that everyone gets their due diligence. So I wouldn't necessarily, and I'm not saying that's what you were saying, but in order for the listener who was confused, I wouldn't say that CIPC comes in to replace the other or the other comes to. I think they all work together, and yeah, and it's all up to also you as the listener to exist there, exist there, exist there, so that you can be able to get as much money as possible, as much money as possible.
mm. Yeah, I was about to say that with Sibele, by doing so, you increasing your income stream or channels. Um,
Boss.
yeah, when I say Pitanga, we touched on a lot, and
Hmm.
I just want to know your perspective in terms of spirituality. What in terms of how the world is currently moving now.
Hmm.
I see a very dark cloud. A very dark
Hmm.
cloud that's covering
Explain it.
our flat Earth. Yeah, I understand. So and looking at the music industry as well, there's also this dark cloud.
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, from your own perspective or outlook, as you're looking from the in to the outside, what do
Hmm.
you think? Are we heading to the right direction, spirituality as people, or in terms of the environment? that, or the foundation that has been provided by us, by the systems.
Yeah.
When I talk about systems, I'm talking about the government, I'm talking about the elites,
Mm.
everything. Do you think there is a light at the end of the tunnel, or we just, walking blindly, so thinking we know and we don't know shit?
Yeah.
Instead, we're going deeper and deeper into the pit hole that they designed for us, so that we
Yeah.
become more, you know, um, more confused, clueless,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Um, I think right now, ne, what's making culture, what's making people so divided is the fact that social media and the internet, it has kind of flattened culture. And so because it became wide, it became fragmented. So what I mean is, back in the old days there was a monolith culture. A monolith culture is a culture that's geared towards one thing. So you get these, for example, it's like if we celebrate Christmas, we all celebrate it together. Or if we watch this specific series, we watch it together. And when we get to school, we're all talking about generations because we were all watching
Mm,
generations, and we were all watching Gen A, and we were all watching. And now we are in a culture where it's less monolithic, it's more fragmented, and it's because of social media, right? And because social media, it's like you get to watch your own channel. It's no longer just four stations, right?
mm,
You get to decide if you're gonna watch this interview today, or you're gonna watch it on a Sunday when it's uploaded, and you watch it on your own time, and
mm,
you decide what series is you're gonna watch, what you're not gonna watch, what music you're gonna listen to, what you're not gonna listen to, right?
yeah.
And when it comes to spirituality, I think that there are a lot of people who are rightfully skeptic about religion because of how some of the powers that became started abusing religion to finesse people, right? And we have found ourselves in an era where people are now starting to toy with the idea that we do not need belief. It's up to you to decide what you're gonna believe in, whether it's gonna be ancestors, whether it's gonna be God, whether it's gonna be Christ, whether it's gonna be Buddha, whether it's gonna be Krishna, whether it's gonna, that's up to you. But now we are no longer even into believing in what. Now people are like, yeah, actually, we don't need to believe in anything. And a lot of philosophers that I'm kind of talking to, they are warning about that, that we have to believe in something. Because what the issue about us humans is that we are a connection based people. This is why when we punish people, we isolate them. We either go or we take you to prison. But our form of punishment is isolation because we rely on connection. And so without belief, it's 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 like that void, it has to be filled in by other belief systems. And now the problem would then have to be is, what is the quality of that belief system, right? So I remember I was talking to my dude, like, let's there's this philosopher called Frederick Nietzsche. He was
Mm.
like, God is dead, right?
God
and
is what?
apparently and
God is what?
apparently God is dead. Now let me explain what he meant. So a lot of people, they thought he's saying, atheism is in, we've killed God. That's not what he was saying. What he was saying was that the reason we find ourselves in these chaotic times is because we killed God, and now there's nothing that's holding us together. And so I'm not really into being strict with people, because there's a lot of people who claim to be about God, but deep down they corrupt.
Mm,
There's a lot of people who claim they atheists, but deep down they good and righteous. And so
Mm.
for me, I believe that behavior, it should be what we judge men on instead of what they say. Because what's the point if I'm gonna say I'm a Christian, but I'm a Christian doing foul stuff?
Mm.
And what's the point if I'm gonna say I'm an atheist, but I'm an atheist who is good and right? So I remember KRS One had this idea that let's just say we are reinventing God. Like let's just say he doesn't exist. Let's just say he doesn't exist. We are reinventing him. Why would we reinvent God? And the idea was that so that humans have nothing to run out of. Because the thing about God is that God as an ideal is infinite potential. So look at it like if we had a pyramid, and God is supposed to be this eye at the top of this pyramid. You see this eye,
Mm.
because that eye, it acts as a judge, right?
Mm.
It sees everything we do, and it's
Mm.
the principle. So let's say, what is God? Let's say God is good. Let's say God is righteous. Let's say God is discipline. Let's say God is cleanliness. Let's just describe God as if I God. We start making all these descriptions like, no, God is good. God is right. God is gifting. God is care. God is love. All these things. The reason why it becomes a pyramid is because when the principles judge man, we now start to discover what Jesus meant when he said, to get into heaven, it's going to be like a camel passing through a needle of
Narrow road.
an eye of a needle. You understand? And these laws are supposed to pick who becomes a leader. If we're gonna say we have stated down what makes God, in order for you to be close to God, you need to obviously we're not perfect, right? But it's like the closer you are, it's gonna be those principles that pick out who is who. And sometimes it's gonna be like, you the devil, dog. That's you. That's you. It's okay. Because when you look at studies also, you might think a lot of people commit crime. Not really. It's like 10% of the people commit 50% of the crimes. So it means that pyramid now, it starts to form like a diamond, whereby even to go down, there's also rules of living that life. And so in terms of solutions, I think I think the problem is chaos. I think even in the Bible, I think any spiritual life, they always come back to that. Hore, in order for you to solve a lot of things in your life, it's there's chaos in that life. And the problem with chaos is that it now brings the idea that every man for himself. And once it's every man for himself, it's like, why should I care about you, or why should you care about me? And so I think currently we are currently still wrestling with that, because there's people who are now enjoying their freedoms. And I remember Keres once saying this, that they were talking about things like the Illuminati, wah wah wah. And he was like, in life, everyone we are going to speak of is good and right. And I remember this chick was like, wait, 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 wait. Do you mean supposed to be good and right, or good and right? And he was like, no, no, no. Good and right. Because if you look at anyone you're dealing with, their intention is good and right. Then what's the problem with people? People have problems that they face in their lives, and it comes out to us as corruption and evil, because they have underlying issues. What are these underlying issues? We have mental disorders. We have schizophrenias, we have bipolars, we have hungers, we have thirsts, we have
Really?
poverty, we have traumas that we haven't processed, childhood traumas, physical traumas. We lose legs. I'm a singer. Next thing, I lose my ability to sing.
Gone.
These are problems in my life. And I remember Keres one Ari, just because you're the president, it doesn't mean you don't cry.
I,
And so these are the problems with people. Because sometimes you meet someone and you're like, why doesn't this person not like me? Sometimes it's not that they don't like you, but it's because you trigger something they haven't dealt with. You know that Tupac line, yeah, yeah, a nigga got smoked by a fiend, trying to floss on him, blind to a broken man's dream, a hard lesson. So it's like
mm,
when you think of that line, it's like you to you, you like, oh, this guy Nipsey Hussle. You like this guy's jealous. He shot me because I had this gold chain on. But it's like you don't understand the problems this person had in their life.
mm,
You to him, it's like you were flossing on his broken dreams. So he was like, yeah, you gotta go. So this is why it's a Jean Paul Sartre. This philosopher called Jean Paul Sartre. He was like, hell is other people.
mm.
And this is why I created Evil Saint, because it's like, in order for you to start fixing the world, you need to fix yourself. You need to fix everything that's in here and is corrupt. And
Great.
then you can go out there. Because if you haven't fixed in here, forget everything. That's why even this author Jordan Peterson, he was like, before you even go out into the city, clean your room first. And I think if we
That's deep.
and I think this is why a lot of Christianity, it centered its ideals around Mary being the perfect woman and Jesus being the perfect man. I'll just speak on that mostly because I attended a Catholic school most of my life.
Okay.
Mary being the perfect woman, her sacrifice was that I have to bring human life and love it in this world. That's the sacrifice of the woman.
Straight.
It's like you have to bring life in this world. And you know what type of world is this?
Hey, bro,
That's
it's
that's
broken.
that's a virgin's sacrifice to bring
Mm,
life. For Jesus, it was like your job is that you are going to go out there, bring order into this chaotic world, and then get killed for it. That is your sacrifice.
mm,
So it's like,
mm.
so when you're looking at things like this, you look at your purpose. This is why also KRS One was saying, when you're talking about the Illuminati and you're talking about the Freemason and you're talking about oh this big brother, these people are following their purpose. Who are you?
Mm,
Because in the Egyptian schools where you had to study for certain knowledge, in order for certain knowledge to be passed down to you, before you would enter, they would ask you, who are you? And then if what they'll be like, no, my name is Soweto Tshepiso. They'd be like, ah, no, it's fine. Come back after 3 years, you know.
you.
And then ubuwe gape ba re, before kena gape, who are you? Oh
Who are
no, my
you?
name is Soweto Tshepiso. Ah, it's fine. Come back after 2 years.
Damn.
And then ubuwe gape ba re, who are you? And we'll be like, hey man, how many times do I have to say this? I'm Soweto Tshepiso, Sotra man from the west
Yeah.
side. Now they're like, now you know yourself.
Mm,
Now you're ready to come in. And this is why in the gospel of hip hop, KRS One stresses that a true hip hopper is not concerned about the other person. A true hip hopper is not concerned about Tupac,
mm,
about KRS One, not saying we should disrespect history. But in order for you to understand history, you need to understand yourself first. Because what KRS One warns is that if you don't understand yourself, you will fall victim to colonialism. Because what colonial powers do is that every setting that they enter, they don't care about the next person. It's all about them.
mm.
Europeans are gonna come into Africa and they're not gonna speak any African language. It's all about you must assimilate to us. And that's not how the ancient scholars did it. The ancient scholars were like, if before we give you our knowledge, you need to tell us who are you first. Let's start there. My name's Soweto Tshepiso. I'm from a first name. Test aim, then Pritstin Twananyan. Tech lanes, then move and clubs. We back blame these movies in Twanatsak. You get what I'm saying? And it also
Mm.
bleeds into everything. How do you market music? Psychology. How do you market music? Who are you? Who are you? It's always gonna come back to that. Who are you? And if we to solve this thing, we need to find out who are we. And it's difficult. I a lot of here's an example. You do you want to know how people are complicated?
Please.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships.
Aye.
That's
And go
how
the
you know.
dogs. Aye.
Ah!
Aye.
That's how you know. That's how you
Aye.
know
It's
people
too
are
much.
complicated. When you are just dealing with it's you and one other. It's just two people. Just two people. You'll see umsangano. That's how you
Crazy.
know that. That's how you know that people are complicated. And in order to discover, and this is why I'm empathetic to, especially my parents, for example. And this is why I feel like people should be empathetic to their parents because I'm looking at my parents like, oh man, you got me in your 20s and you did your best and this is how I turned out. I'm in my 30s, bro, and I'm still discovering things about myself where I'm like, oh, here I'm injured, here I'm insecure, here I have a psychological disorder, here, oh man, it's crazy. But I have hope in people because I remember reading this one paragraph in this other book where this guy was saying that um this whole system that we call the world, I get the world is like a system that was created on earth.
Mm.
The system, it's maintained by people and
Mm.
all these people are injured.
Wait,
All
wait,
these
wait, wait,
people.
wait. Wait, let's reframe. I think it's not
Yeah.
just people. I think it's
No,
just not. It's just it's someone high
no, no,
that
no, no,
is.
no, no, no. Let me land. I get what you're
Oh,
saying. What I
aye.
mean by people is that in order for you go collect matlakala, or in order for you
Mm,
go be le motlakase, or in order for your plane to fly, there is someone who is facing problems in their life. They just lost a mother. They are suffering from bipolar, or they're suffering from depression, but they're making sure that they wake up early in the morning to keep this thing working.
mm,
And we are doing the same thing right now because we may have problems in our lives, but we made sure we link up at 10 a.m. to make sure that this thing keeps working. And this is why I still have hope in humanity because despite what we're facing in our lives, we still wake up to make sure that this thing still keeps working.
mm,
And we make sure the
mm,
quality is proper. We make sure it's clean. Those principles we spoke about, those
mm,
principles that are going to take us up, we make sure we still adhere to those principles.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So it's not
So
all doom and gloom.
yeah,
It's not all doom and gloom.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
Jackie, definitely. More especially if we still have that mentality now, we just have to do things right going forward as
for sure.
humanity. Yeah. Just hold on, my king. Hey, Mini, we live. Awume kancane. Awume kancane. Angivalile mina. How did Jackie? It was a
No, no, no,
customer.
no problem. No problem.
Yeah. Now we're heading to our relationships, G. I mean,
For sure.
if you're in music, I
Hmm.
know as an artist, you try to be
For
versatile as
sure.
possible in
Yeah.
terms of human relatability. Because you understand, as humans, like you said, we go through so much, man,
Mhm.
Relationships are one of the things that really exposes us, yabo, on who
Yeah.
we are. Can
Mm.
be in a good or bad way. Just depends.
Yeah.
So oh yeah, before Sasakuma relationship, there's this podcast I watched, Rings and Bearings by Utemba
Mhm.
Lukel. No, it's not rings a bell. It's life is spiritual. Yeah, now I
Mhm.
remember. Life is spiritual. It's a
Yeah.
Kenya podcast. So they invited this Chicago guy from America,
Yeah.
and they were yeah, he was touching on. He was saying actually, I'd rather have a Kenyan wife than to have an American wife, simply because
Mhm.
it's this thing of social media influencing that
Mhm.
is creating that distortion of tini. It's a good thing to well. It's a good thing to,
Mhm.
promote adultery,
Mhm.
pornography. He
Mhm.
was on the notion of tini, young girls from the age of 18. They prefer not to go to job, not or looking for a job. However, you'll find they are in this platform. Maybe it's on this platform, OnlyFans. It's
Yeah.
OnlyFans
That's
platform.
funny.
So now he
Yeah.
was in the notion with, yo, look, it's really hard to get married right now or have a simple companion, a relationship, a true relationship with someone
Yeah.
simply because all of these spiritual aspects that are distorting the whole relationship approach and how it should be like, in terms
Yeah.
of connection and all that kind of stuff. So what do you think? Where are we standing in terms of South Africa? Because personally, I feel like we are heading to the American thingy going on. Because looking at our youth, they into these things, man.
Yeah.
They into these things definitely. And hey, well, it's hard to get someone who is really, really, really good like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just start with the first half with the first question.
Mm,
Uh, what I liked was this one line from Bailwansta where he said, "In today's age, we are in a connection over KPI." So KPIs, it's like streams, numbers, reach, targets, all of that. And in today's age, and I remember Gary V
What's
once
what,
did the same
sorry,
thing.
it's key point indicators, no? Key
Yeah,
point indicators, something like that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
And I remember Gary Vee said the same thing where he created a new account with basically no followers versus his account there 5 million followers, and he posted the same post and they reached a similar amount of people. And he was like, things like those key point indicators like followers, they don't matter because now what matters is connection. You may have 1,000 followers versus like a Ras, for example. That example I was making at Ras. Ras, he's not known. Like he is not known, but he came into South Africa and sold out a show. He will go into Portugal and sell out a show because just those small Anyana fans he have, the connection is making it that he is well off, right? So that's the one aspect of relationships and music. And then on the now more personal relationships, like the Hurt King series, when I was making the Hurt King series, I remember a lot of people, they didn't want me to kind of remove myself from that heartbreak music that I was making. Because listen, I understand why sad music works. I understand why it works. I understand why sad music works more than happy music, right? Because we all
Mm,
going through something more than we all happy,
facts.
right? But
Facts.
now I remember the weekend, Lena actually he almost got tapped into that because now people want you to constantly live in the cycle of damage so that you can give them that art. And it becomes
Crazy.
tricky. It becomes tricky because now it means
Crazy.
in order for me to keep maintaining this hurt king thing, I must not fall in love or I must not get married. And it's like, Chief, we're not about to do
Dog.
that. But
Dog.
to
Mm,
come to the second half of the question where it's like I think you are alluding into what do I think are kinds of the issues we having with relationships. Where are we? What's contributing into this and that? I think throughout history, ne, we haven't had to deal with an economically free woman. So we are experimenting with it. Like, let's say humans have been existing for 6 billion years or 6 million years. These, let's see, from 1960, let's just say these 50 years or these 60 years where women have been free, and women have had birth control, and women have had to hit the streets. It's We are the first or third of our generation to deal with this. We are the first to even deal with digital porn or e-porn or all these things. Because I remember this other guy was like, a teenager in today's age can see more naked women than a king would have in the 1700s his entire life. We are the first to deal with such. We are the first to deal with such. So we
Damn,
don't know these
crazy.
things. Like, for example, marriage, also, on the other hand. We are the first to live this long when married. When people in the olden days, they said, oh no, we were married and then death did us part. They were talking about 30. They would marry at 16, 18. By 30, the husband is dead. By 50, maybe the woman is dead. Now we're living till 90. We don't know what to do with that. Now when we're passing 30, it's like we're looking at each other like, yo, are we? So it's now starting to expose that we not as good as marriage as we used to think, because we just used to die early. We're not as good as running households as we used to think, because maybe one person depended on us. Now when the woman works, what happens? Now when the woman doesn't want a child, but we are all rediscovering these things. And based on that American thing we home, so globalization, and I remember my homie was saying that, Jorge, is it just me, or we never see other people's content, like other countries' contents on our TikTok? Like, you never see randomly a German's TikTok or Chinese's TikTok. It's always American or UK. And it goes to show that even if we're gonna say globalization has opened the world, algorithms are still tailored, to us. Because even Lynn, if I post, no one in China randomly sees my TikToks. Why? Who set up that algorithm, right? And so you start to see, Jorge, yes, because of how algorithms are set up, how TV shows are set up, how imports, exports are set up. We
Ngivalile. Sorry, Tshepiso. Ngivalile
Okay,
ntwana. Ngivalile. It's a Saturday. I'm closed. Ntwana. Askis. Eish, hard
yeah,
mfana.
we
Yeah.
we have a an American inclination to how we do things because of the media that they give us. This is
Facts.
why most South Africa, when writing officially, formally, we use UK English. But when we speak, we speak American. We don't
This
speak
guy.
English. We speak American. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, nam
It's a good
saying, nam
observation.
tong
Yeah.
bout.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So
Get you.
it's that, and I wouldn't really put the blame on women, because women are also trying to figure it out. I remember this other woman was like, people keep saying women don't cheat, but in truth, it's because they've never been allowed to throughout history. So what we are saying is that we do not know what a sexually free woman is like. We shouldn't say women don't cheat. We should say we don't know what women will do if we allow them to cheat. So I don't think, yeah, I think there is that gender war. And I think on the bad side, it's because of what we spoke about. There's traumatized people just unleashing on each other. But I think on the good side, it's just people who are aware of their differences and are trying to make it work. So, for
So you're
example, this.
saying, so you're saying these people on the other side of the
Mhm.
bridge are people who are emotionally intelligent type of people who understand the dynamics of relationships and stuff like that. Or
let's not even try to make it a we are better than the other side. Let's just put it as two people who are hurt or two people who are confused. And
mm,
on one side, you have those who are just traumatized to the point of unleashing. Everything is
yes,
painful. Men ain't nothing, women ain't nothing. There's your
true.
GBVs affecting the country. There's, people who are just gonna be like, we're gonna rob these men, we're gonna finesse them money, we're gonna, none of this is worth it. None of this is worth it side.
Khona
And
nabathwalayo, by the way,
yeah,
included.
others
Mm,
commit suicide. Others reach the none of this is worth it to the point of let me just off my life. But there's
mm,
also people who are hurt and people who have been disappointed in relationships, people who were not raised by, mostly fathers, but they
mm,
are trying to make this work. They are like, you know what? We'll fight until we figure this out. There's this book by this British philosopher Alan de Botton called "You Will Marry the Wrong Person." And what he was trying to say on that book is that no one is perfect because firstly you are Ngawe, you are difficult to live with. Firstly,
bruh.
because ukhumula socks walahlela le, you are dangerous because you become moody, you bite back, you make snarky remarks, you know how to hurt people,
Mm, mm,
you have the ability to hurt people. And so already you are not the perfect partner, so you shouldn't be looking for anyone perfect. Let's it up. And then once you accept that, at least now you can now look for, who is worth it? Who can I make a life with? Because what also messed up relationships is the movement of romanticism. So if you are a designer or an artist, you would know that there's been
ooh,
artistic movements throughout history, like throughout the Renaissance. Maybe there was realism, yabo Picasso. No, it's Picasso, ke man Da Vinci. Kabo Picasso, it was Cubism, there was Bauhaus. If you're a designer or an artist, you know these things. I don't want to
mm,
become a nerd, but throughout this time there was a movement called romanticism. And romanticism, it was basically a movement where they were now leaving the industrial revolution. So it was like, let's leave the cities, ngale iintsimbi zabo, and the railways and
mm,
the factories. It's now time to go back to the rurals. That was the aesthetic. How life is going to be easy. You're going to be chilling by the river. And the relationship aspect of those types of movements was that a relationship, it shouldn't be maintained. It should happen spontaneously. You should have a
no, no, no,
soulmate.
hold on. You see what you
Wait,
just said there?
wait,
You
let
see
me
what you
land.
just
Let
said
me
there?
land. Let me
Damn!
land. So they were saying that a relationship shouldn't be maintained. It should be spontaneous. You have a
100%.
soulmate. And if you cannot be with that soulmate, just like Romeo and Juliet, you guys should commit suicide. And so that idea of romanticism, it then started bleeding itself into Disney. And then Disney started writing these fairy tales. They started writing these fairy tales about happily ever after. If you don't get that
Aish.
happily ever after, you should yourself. And that idea of romanticism, it then started giving us the idea of romance. You should have a soulmate. Relationships
Mm,
don't need much communication. Things should be spontaneous. I don't need to tell you if I'm sad. You should know how I feel. That's the idea of romanticism. And these are some of the issues that we are dealing with. We are still removing romanticism because you for example, some of the relationship psychologists, they tell you that you don't have to be with a person just because you love them.
facts.
Romanticism, even no, if I love you, I should be with you.
Mm,
Psychologists now are saying, just because I love you doesn't mean I should be with you, because I could love you but you'd be bad for me. Or I could love you but I'm bad for you. But
straight.
I love you. And so now you start to see why other cultures were like, ah, relax on because what in other cultures they would do is that if you would come and be like, okay, I think I want to marry, they would stalk your hand and they would start to see how she behaves when no one is watching. This is where the idea of God coming in.
Another thing, you missed the point there. Not just
Yeah.
how she behaves, but the parent behave.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like,
one thing about old people. I
mm-hmm,
remember my grandmother advised ukhokho wami, who is like
mm-hmm,
late now. What you know, ngambuza ngathi gogo, how do you know ukuthi umuntu usharp for wena? What
yeah,
mntanami? First things first. Bheka la ahlala khona. Bheka ama-parents wakhe, bheka umamakhe nobabakhe. Then you'll know what you're dealing with.
yeah. And you know why? Because now psychologists are finding that a lot of us we replicate those relationships when we grow up. So
Straight.
uthole there's a chick uzokutshela ukuthi yo my father was aim-ish, he was a doo ass bruru. And then when they grow up and you look at the patterns of the guys they date, they like
Mhm.
the father. And you're like, why? Psychologically, it's because that person wants to either redo that story with a happy ending
Mm.
or they go for the total opposite. Literally, the father was an maybe suffocating, always overbearing, things like that, and they just go for the opposite type of guy. So I would agree also with him, Grace Ahore. The patterns start there by childhood. Their patterns will always start there by childhood. So I think also another thing that happened is it was also easier to work on relationships and track them because we lived in villages, dog. It was just 50 of us, ekasi.
Exactly.
We didn't have to
Yeah.
deal with much. Now
Mhm.
it's like
I,
it's billions. Now, now you also have uh, this thing, ya gore, is this guy the one? What if out of all those millions that follow me on Insta, there's another one?
I'm starting in
Hmm.
online dating. Online dating is first things first. The first
Yeah,
glitch.
now it's like we have a lot of choices. Whereby back then it was like there was not that much choices. Because even if we 50 more village, how many are old enough to marry
Hmm.
at that time? The choices just became now it's like
Narrowed.
you are because
Yo.
now you can date go UK. Now you can have an online girlfriend go UK who can fly
Yes.
you out. Now choices are limitless, and because of those choices, people now don't want to commit because they're thinking, what if I settle too early? What if so all these things, it's like economic freedom, the fact that we live until 80, the fact that we have limitless choices, the fact that we have psychological disorders, the fact that we have American neo-colonialism to deal with, the fact that we have
Mm.
globalism to deal with, the fact that we have all these things, they contributing into making relationships very difficult,
Difficult.
very difficult. So it's like we here. AI is here now. I think
I
we're gonna reach an era where. Do you know the movie Blade Runner?
Blade Run.
Yeah, Blade Runner. That's where Oscar
Son, I'm gonna check
Pistorius
it out
got
after here.
the
I'm gonna
nickname
check
from.
it out definitely after
So
here. Yeah, yeah,
there's
nin, yeah,
two.
nin, yeah, nin. Tshepiso.
There's two installments. There's two installments. There's one, yeah, I think 1990 something, and then there's one, the recent one that dropped, I think 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
what the movie is about an era in the future where we live with robots, but we no longer can tell robots between
Who's who?
humans. So
Aish.
these blade runners, they are kind of like soldiers who are trained to track the robots down and kill them. And I
Yo.
don't want to spoil it,
What
but
the guy? Excuse.
yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, we are entering that age where
Mm.
people are now starting to date AI. I remember there was this interview of this woman who was dating an AI, and when Chat GPT kind of rebooted the AI, she was in mourning. She was literally grieving that boyfriend because it's gone. Everything in a share, it's gone. And so I'm not judging people. I'm just saying, Jorge, we should just be grateful with what we have because things are constantly. I believe now my grandkids, it's gonna just become a norm. It's gonna be like Blade Runner. Oh no, I'm actually dating this AI called, or I'm dating this robot called. It's just gonna be normal because we also gonna get to a point where women may not even have to give birth because we may have a technology. We may even get to a point where we may not need to die, and now you'd have to ask yourself, do I want to live forever? Because look at how people are dying back in the old days. Yeah, you would die because of springboks who are taking it from nowhere, or a lion just hopped out the bush. And now
Mm.
we created a system where now o bolaya maybe ke car accident once in a while, or o bolaya ke, now you die because of accident more than nature. And we're gonna get to a
I'm gonna
point
I'm gonna
whereby,
I'm gonna I'm gonna elaborate on why that happens.
yeah, and we're gonna get to a point whereby now it's like we no longer even dying of accidents. Now it's gonna be like you die because of a choice. Are you tired of living? It's like, yeah, man. It's like how and the guy who speaks extensively about this is Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he's like, you know, imagine if we finally roll out self-driving cars, the drink and driving accidents are gonna be done. Look at airplanes. How many people die of air crashes? It's like, dog, gradually we're getting to a point whereby we're gonna live forever, and you need to ask yourself, do you wanna live forever? That's gonna be the next question. This is where Thanos is gonna come in, because he's gonna be like, yeah, it's too many of you guys. Half of you gotta go.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Huh. So when you talk about living forever, and as we are on this topic, the concept about rapture.
yeah,
Yeah. So the rapture concept is that the firmament will open, spirits will come, like emoyeni in a pants, if
yeah,
you understand.
yeah.
Spirits will come, do a whole lot of stuff. And but one thing is that people will no longer die as much as you want to kill yourself. When the mark of the beast
Hmm.
is in
Hmm.
is active. When you want to die, as much as you want to kill yourself, nothing will
Yeah.
happen. So
I I haven't looked that deep into Revelation, but I know there's a lot of people who believe in the rapture. In fact, I was watching a TikTok of this other preacher. He keeps postponing it. He keeps saying, no, 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 it's gonna be January when. No, no, no. Because remember, a lot of them also, no, not a lot. Yeah, let me say a lot. A lot they thought the year 2000 was it.
mm,
And this is where the term came from, for a party like it's 1999, because they thought, by 2000 ichayile. And a lot of these people, they really, did believe Hore, and a lot of people also, they also believe some of these, priests who come out with dates. Oh no, it's gonna, because another one that happened, and I was guilty of believing that one because I was still young and I was still just grasping information. We believed 2012 was it.
oh,
We-
why 2012? Why 2012, bruh?
no,
Damn.
because at that time there was documentation about how the Mayans had this calendar, and that calendar, it was ending at 2012, 13 December, and it was compelling information. And around that time, because you need to remember that at that time also I was now starting to unlock my intellectual inquest. You see, like how I discovered King Tut, because now it was like, oh, I was starting to discover all these documentaries, all these informations about history, and I was like, yo, this 2012 one, it might be real poison. I'm telling you, but when once you learn also these things, which is why, for example, which is why when I see a kid who believes in this one ideal, maybe a skeptic ideal, let me not say like it's a common, maybe atheism or Illuminati or things like that,
Mm,
I don't stop
mm,
them. I'm like, continue learning, because you're about to
mm,
discover a whole host of information. And it's important because once you have all those tools, it gives you a framework, maybe it's a paradigm, but
mm,
it gives you a framework where you now can pull from lots of different sources in order to create a worldview. They also call that thing perspective. Abari, give me your perspective. They
mm,
like, give
mm.
me what you can tell me from what you can pull from. So this is why I'm not against people, learn, even if Barry, nah, I don't listen to that. Because then they were like, don't watch those Illuminati documentaries. But what I've managed to now build from that is because it also opened other things. It's like, oh, there's this author. When you listen to this author, it's like, oh, there's that author. Oh, there's that. So even though some of them are debunked, but it taught me research. It taught me how to look at information, how to find truth from fact. It taught me. So when we bring it back to the whole rapture thing, it's like, I don't know when it's gonna happen. I don't know how. I don't know if there was a metaphor underlining it. I haven't looked into it, but I think it's very interesting. In fact, after this, I need to look deep into it. I need to look deep into it.
Aye.
Shout out,
No,
Akani.
no, no. Shout outs to Jackie and Bega. While we're on this topic, Mpana, there's so much to talk about. While we're in this topic, because this topic really fascinates me. And
Mm-hmm,
I'm glad that I'm having this conversation with you. Someone
mm-hmm,
who's open minded, someone who understands how the world really operates, on a
yeah,
spiritual term, on a physical term. So
yeah,
there's something that's happening in the world right now, my brother, and people are not aware of
mm-hmm,
this. I don't know if you're aware. In China, I don't know which part of China exactly, but in China, there's this thing called, and this thing is part of the foundation of AI.
mm-hmm,
It being globalized initially. You
mm-hmm,
understand?
yeah,
Normalizing AI, into people's
yeah,
lives. Um, so what they're doing in China, they have this thing called digital ID.
mm-hmm,
I think it's also happening in America. So how it
yeah,
works, I think it's part of the mark of the beast, but the foundation of it, the whole thing of no longer using money. I'm talking about
mm-hmm,
big banks being frozen, like frozen,
mm-hmm,
literally. People
yeah,
now in China, there's young people who are homeless simply because some of them didn't want to join in this whole digital ID thing. There's people who are
yeah,
homeless, people who don't have jobs because of this thing. Like the economy is fucked, bruh. The streets are
yeah,
full of young people sleeping, bruh.
mm,
So and and looking at the BRICS situation, China, Russia, because in Russia, in Europe, the same thing is happening, and laws
mm,
are being passed. Amendment laws have been passed. You understand? I think also
yeah.
in South Africa. I think also in South
So
Africa, and
I
and
haven't.
we we don't know shit about this, bruh. We don't know
Yeah,
shit about this, and
yeah. I was
I feel
about to
like
say that. I was about to say that, Lena Khore. I haven't really seen any I mean, obviously, governments are going to government. There's always going to be crazy things we find out from
yeah.
the government, but I haven't, made a connect to be able to also predict how bad
Mm,
do I think is gonna get. Yabo. I haven't
mm,
I haven't seen, because I saw a TikTok days back where this chick was like, "Oh, I live in Japan, and we take trains a lot, and there's never a day where I'm not using a train where it doesn't stop because it hits something, if you get what I mean." And it's like, whoa,
mm,
what you are speaking to also, that people are homeless. I think it's in South Korea as well, where it's like
mm,
there's a birth decline because people chose to work to the extent whereby the the rate at which people are becoming old and are dying is now larger than the birth replacement. So it's like, if this goes on, go South Korea, it's gonna get to the point whereby the population doesn't exist anymore. In fact, the entire West, in Africa, we are. We are birthing them, and it's because of the grind culture. We got to put that work in. We gonna
Mm,
work, we gonna work. So
mm,
it's like right now in Twins about chaos, so it's hard to predict where we're gonna end up, whether we're gonna end up in that that the Book of Eli. What's the Book of Eli? That movie, that Denzel Washington. Yeah,
yeah.
you see the how this.
Similar to the legend.
Yeah, you see how
Similar.
dystopian things are in those
Yeah,
movies where it's
yeah.
like umas begela. We still don't know
Mm,
if we are headed towards that direction or we headed towards flying cars. But it's yeah,
crazy.
it's tricky. It right now it's tricky. It's tricky to even buy a house because
Aye.
tomorrow you might wake up, you don't afford the house. It's like wild time.
Dog,
Wild time.
ngiyabona
But
idlaza. It's tricky to have a child,
yeah,
dog.
but I guess now the rest of the world is now starting to understand what it's like to be a creative, because a creative's life has always been tricky since the beginning of time. It's
Yeah.
now everyone else who's studying. It's now the banker guy who is secure who's starting to realize, oh, this is how it's like to be a creator, living
Mm.
end to end, never knowing what's up tomorrow. So
Aye.
yeah, it's interesting. Let's not make it gloomy. Depress abantu.
It's interesting, Donna. Like I had this conversation with one of the homies. Hey, dog.
Yeah.
They were intrigued, you know, to a
Mhm.
point they were like, "Happy dog, I'll see you, man. Hey, I want to just
Yeah.
scout and do it." Hey.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Co-
when you really think about it, history is literally repeating itself. I'm talking about fallen angels. I'm talking about Nephilims.
Yeah.
That type of history repeating itself. That's what I'm
Yeah.
seeing, my brother. That's what I'm
I
seeing.
thought
That's
that
what
I'm a
I'm seeing.
great. They would watch me blow out of space, all they did was watch me fall out of grace. So that metaphor was linking on that, like the fall of grace,
Mm,
linking up with
mm,
a musician who was Lucifer, and all of that.
mm. So yeah. While we're on the topic, Jam, tell us about your latest offering, because we've been talking about a lot of things, and we need to get back to the music.
We forgot we make music. Oh, we make music. Oh, there's
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah.
dog. Yeah.
The latest offering. I'm gonna be announcing the tape soon, but I already dropped the first freestyle, which is "Good Grief." So, like I was saying, that the rollout was just lined up around grief, which was started by the grief of my laptop. So like how when I lost my laptop,
Mm,
I started thinking, am I going to lose a job? Am I going to be able to communicate with specific people? Am I going to maintain
mm,
my clientele? And
mm,
and I then started to question myself, is it even normal to grieve a technological device? And it started now making me think about the fact that we might be androids. You get what I'm saying? Because now everywhere we
hey,
go, we have a phone on us, and this phone is part of us. It's like I have to have earphones. This is how you know we. You get what I'm
sorry
saying?
to cut you. Sorry to cut you,
Yeah,
Tepiso. Now we're going back to what I was mentioning, digital ID, because they
yeah,
trying to get data from us. You know
yeah,
what happens, by the way, sorry to cut you off. When your credit score is bad, let's say you have a house that you pay for every monthly, then you're
yeah,
not paying.
yeah,
Maybe let's say the threshold is like 5,000. If you reach 5,000 threshold, then we
yeah,
taking everything that you have. So what they
yeah,
do is there's this app that they track your credits with, right? So
mhm,
this app, it tells you that okay, you're doing quite well. When you're doing quite well, you get rewarded for that, right?
yeah,
But when you're not doing good in terms of credits, you get
mhm,
shaved. Like I
yeah,
can see that Tepiso is owing. Sibusiso can see Tepiso is owing on the
yeah.
same app.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so like so like things like that, like this kind of
Mm.
how we have merged technology and the human, it kind of then made me feel like, yeah, you know what? Actually, if I lose this phone, I should be able to also mourn it like the person who lost a dog or a person who lost a pet. You know, it shouldn't be as deep as maybe connections with humans, but we have entered that Android era. And I began, that whole rollout of I'm mourning my laptop, and I was just showing these beat up laptops. And the first freestyle was Good Grief Freestyle. And I titled it Good Grief as a play on words because it's like, is there anything as good grief? You get what I'm saying? Because grief is painful, but I was like, it's actually good grief because in me grieving that laptop, I I then went I left with tools psychologically. Say, like, oh, I was not aware that I'm anxious of this, or I'm not dealing with that, or I'm trying to forget this. So it was things that I did that. So the first freestyle was Good Grief Freestyle, and then the first single out of that is Out of Touch. Talking about how just me constantly always being on the job, always working. I'm out of touch with people I need to connect with. I'm out of touch with myself, you know. Feeling out of touch, let me catch my feels. God's on my side, hope the plans fulfilled.
Hey.
So it's things like that. So the next single is gonna be dropping on the 11th of this month.
Yeah.
I think, wait. Yeah, I'm gonna have to confirm because I remember uploading two singles. But after the next single drops, then I'm gonna be uh, announcing the title of the tape, and then I'm gonna be giving that out, and then we're gonna be able to continue with the Sotra Man era.
Achoo. Yeah,
Eh,
guys, as you heard, Vele, it's confirmed. 11th this month, Tshepiso
mhm,
is dropping. This is the first time he announces this, my brother, on this platform.
for shiz.
Tshepiso, let me just ask you two more questions. I think we need to
Mhm.
have a part two, my brother. Yabo. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Let's
I
go.
can already see that kuma comment in that game. Akane 985
985.
series. Yeah, very important conversation. Thank you, Chance. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Akane, for that beautiful comment.
For sure.
Yeah, just in case you just tuned in, guys, and you've been watching, please, don't forget to subscribe in both our channels.
Yeah.
Make sure you like this video and comment and ask about any questions that you want to be
Yeah.
so to answer you, mom. So Tsepiso,
Yeah.
as we close up, yeah, man, where can people get your music and
Uh
what word of the day before we close up, my bro?
okay. Where people can get my music is I'm all over, except except commercial
Ah, man.
radio and TV. But I'm all over. It's Soweto
Yeah.
Tshepiso. Soweto, as in the township in South Africa.
Oh,
Tshepiso,
yeah.
Tshepiso. And then on social media, you can type Soweto Tshepiso, you're gonna find me. But if you want to use a handle, it's at one, the number one, Soweto Tshepiso, one word. At one Soweto Tshepiso. Just like that. That's how you're gonna find me. And my word of the day is be kind. People miss people.
Hmm.
That's it.
All right, we're just wrapping things up now. Say Penny Show. Thank you for everyone who was watching, and thank you for Tapiso for giving his
Boo,
precious
boo,
time.
boo, boo.
Thank you so much, Jai Kemi. Thank you so much, Jai Kemi. It was a privilege having you here, and
Shout
I'm
out.
hoping for a part two.
Nah, we're
More
definitely gonna
especially
do it.
after you're released. More especially
Yeah,
after you
for sure.
release part
Because
two.
then we're gonna at least now go deep into the themes of the tracks and
Yes,
stuff. Yeah,
yes,
no, for
yes,
sure.
yes. And on part two, it'll be lovely. Maybe we have a young listening session as well. Maybe two Nyana songs, yabo.
Yeah,
Just
no
to
problem.
get the genes of things. No music manje.
Without a doubt. Without a
Nice.
doubt. Woo! I got so much in store coming. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ngicela
but shout
ukubonga
out
nje
for
igame.
having me.
Yeah. No.
Shout out.
Ngicela ukubonga nje igame for pulling through and
Yeah.
for your patience and
Mm-hmm.
ngiyabonga kakhulu dog. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Yeah. Now, shout out for having me. Shout out to everyone who tuned in. Shout out for the interaction, the likes, the halos, the comments, and we hope this doesn't just end here. You know, even when this
Mm,
becomes chopped up, trimmed up, uploaded, there's still gonna be more people to come engage with it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna still chop more clips for social media. You just gave me content until 2027, by the way, if you don't know. So yeah,
yeah.
shout out to all the moving parts involved. We appreciate this, man.
Nice. Shout out to Tshepiso. Shout out to Sotra. Shout out to South
Yeah,
Africa. And shout out to the world, Africa and the world
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for tuning in. And yeah, this is episode 19 of the Be Happy Central live show, just in case you don't know. And today, this is just a game of
Yeah.
Tepiso. What's a Tepiso? Double!
Soweto Tshepiso.
Yeah, so make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, and man, comment so that this video reaches out to the right people who really need such information.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful conversation, and it was beautiful having you.
Yeah. Alright, let me go record. Let me go record.
Peace out,
Peace.
this episode.
Sure.
Bless King, bless. Yo, this is the end of the show. Thank you so much for really joining in, and I hope everyone had a pleasant, very insightful, and interesting convo. You know, I myself I enjoyed it, and I know Tepiso also enjoyed it. And may God keep you. May God keep loving you. May God keep protecting you with His ministry of angels that are upon your life. And yeah, man, keep praying, keep being kind, like how Tepiso said it. And yeah, man, let's keep supporting each other, supporting this platform. And yeah, man, one love, one love. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys. It's happy with the V because we are high, visual, passionate people and young. So that's why I say hashtag